Welcome to YouTube channel DEO Nalgonda. Hello children, how are you? Today we shall discuss and learn about the fourth unit, motion and time of 7th English medium general science subject. Our fourth unit is motion and time. In the previous lesson we have seen what motion is. An object is said to be in motion if it changes its position in a given period of time. An object is said to be in motion if it changes its position with respect to time or in a given time or over a period of time. That is the definition of motion. So, we see different types of objects moving with different types of motion. In this class, you will learn about the types of motion. Motion is of different types. The major types of motion are: number 1, translatory motion, rotatory motion, oscillatory motion. There are 3 major types of motion. They are translatory motion, rotatory motion and oscillatory motion. Translatory motion is subdivided into 2 types: rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. You will learn about these concepts after discussing the major types of motion, right. What are you expecting about the translatory motion? What do you understand about the term translatory motion? I will give you the definition. A body is said to be in translatory motion if all the parts or if all the particles present in the body move along the direction of motion. So, here you can understand this concept by a simple example. For example, take this object and let us assume that the object is moving in this direction. So, what happens? All the particles present in this body move along the direction of motion. All the particles or all the parts. For example, let us assume this to be a vehicle like a bus or car. If this vehicle is moving in this direction, all the parts present in this vehicle like steering wheel, seats, wheels, everything that is present in the bus, they move in the direction of the motion of the bus, and such type of motion is called translatory motion. I repeat, translatory motion is one in which all the particles or all the parts present in a moving object move in the direction of the motion. Such type of motion is called translatory motion. Again, translatory motion is of two types, rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. So, what is rectilinear motion? If a body in translatory motion moves in a straight line, such type of motion is called rectilinear motion. You have to remember the phrase straight line, means if an object is moving in a straight line, that object is said to have rectilinear motion. So, rectilinear is a type of translatory motion, because earlier I told you translatory motion is of two types depending on the direction of the object. If the object moves in a straight line, that motion is called rectilinear motion. And what about curvilinear motion? If an object having translatory motion moves along a curved path, that type of motion is called curvilinear motion. So, curvilinear motion is also translatory motion. Now, you clearly understand translatory motion is of two types, rectilinear and curvilinear. Rectilinear motion is a translatory motion in which the moving object moves along a straight line. The direction of the moving object is straight. Such type of translatory motion is called rectilinear motion. Second type of translatory motion is curvilinear motion. An object is said to have curvilinear motion if it travels along a curved path, not straight path, curved path. So, an object moving along a curved path will always have curvilinear motion. So, in our day to day lives, we see many objects moving in straight lines and many objects move along curved paths. For example, when a road is straight, the vehicle moves along the straight road. Then the vehicle has translatory motion. What type of translatory motion? Rectilinear motion, because the vehicle or the moving object is going along a straight line or a straight path. And secondly, when this vehicle takes a turn or when this vehicle moves along a curved path, then the vehicle is said to have curvilinear motion. Curvilinear motion is also called translatory motion, because translatory motion, depending upon the path followed by the moving object, is of two types, rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. It is very simple to understand. In rectilinear motion, the moving object moves in a straight path. In curvilinear motion, the moving object moves in a curved path, not straight path. Now, I hope you might have understood what translatory motion is and what the different types of translatory motion are. So, translatory motion is of two types, rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. Now, children, think of the objects which move in rectilinear motion and think of the objects which move in curvilinear motion. You can think, because in our day to day lives we see many objects around us moving in different ways. Some objects move in straight way and some objects move along a straight curved path. So, depending upon the direction of motion, the translatory motion is of two types, rectilinear and curvilinear. Just remember, rectilinear motion is one in which the moving object goes along a straight path, and curvilinear motion is a translatory motion in which the moving object or moving vehicle goes or travels along a curved path. So, both rectilinear and curvilinear motions are translatory, because translatory motion is divided into two types depending upon the path of the moving object. So, what is translatory motion? I would like to ask you this question, because earlier I told you what translatory motion is. I repeat, translatory motion is a type of motion in which all the particles or all the parts present in a moving object move along the direction of motion. Such type of motion is called translatory motion. Okay. And the next one is rotatory motion. What is rotatory motion? In our day to day lives we see many things showing rotatory motion. For example, if you look at a fan, it rotates around a fixed axis or it rotates around a central point, and you can give me many examples of things which show rotatory motion. Our earth rotates on its own axis. The time taken for one rotation is 24 hours. So, you can give many examples for objects having rotatory motion. Then what is the definition? How can you define the rotatory motion? Rotatory motion is a type of motion in which all the particles present in the moving object move in a circular path. Previously, in translatory motion, the particles move in straight line or in a curved path, but here in rotatory motion, all the particles present in a moving object, they move in circular paths. For example, if you draw a diagram of a ceiling fan, you know it has 3 blades. A ceiling fan has 3 blades. So, when the ceiling fan rotates, the 3 blades also keep rotating around a central fixed point. The central fixed point is also called axis of rotation. For example, the axis of rotation would be here. So, if you take different, for example, we are taking 3 particles A, B, C. when this fan rotates, the position of the particles would be changing. Particle A moves to A1, particle B moves to B1, particle C moves to C1. Again, here the position of the particles change continuously. Now, the particles move to points A2, B2 and C2. So, if you see this pattern, we see all the particles present in the ceiling fan, they move in circular paths. Circular means in the form of a circle. So, now you can easily understand what circular motion is. A circular motion is a type of motion in which all the particles present in the moving object move in circular paths, and such type of motion is called a rotatory motion. So, examples for rotatory motion, I can give you very simple examples. First one is the rotation of the earth, and second one is a rotating ceiling fan or rotating table fan. And all the planets and satellites present in our solar system, they keep rotating around their own axis. So, such type of motion is called rotatory motion. Okay, I repeat, rotatory motion is a type of motion in which all the particles present in the moving object move in circular paths, means they follow circular paths, they travel in the form of circles. So, such type of motion is called rotatory motion. Now, here comes our third type of motion, that is oscillatory motion. So, we see many objects in our daily lives which show oscillatory motion. For example, if you assume a girl swinging on a swing, the girl moves to and fro. Such type of motion is called oscillatory motion. Then children, you might have seen wall clocks in which a pendulum keeps moving to the left and right directions continuously. So, such type of motion is called oscillatory motion. In oscillatory motion, the moving object moves in to and fro direction or in up and down directions. For example, if you carefully observe the needle of a sewing machine, the needle moves up and downwards, the needle moves upwards and downwards continuously. Such type of motion is called oscillatory motion. In our daily lives, we can see many objects showing oscillatory motion. So, I am giving you some examples. A girl swinging in a swing, she moves from left to right, again goes to right. So, such type of motion is oscillatory motion. and if you see a pendulum on a wall clock, the pendulum keeps moving to left and right, again goes to left and right. This pattern repeats continuously. So, if you closely observe this pattern, you can easily understand that the simple pendulum moves in to and fro ways. In the same way, if you see the needle of a sewing machine, the needle goes up and downwards. So, such type of motion is called oscillatory motion. So, I define oscillatory motion as an object is said to have oscillatory motion if the particles present in that body move in to and fro direction or up and down directions. Such type of motion is called oscillatory motion. So, here you can make a simple pendulum on your own. If you tie a stone to a thread and swing that stone shows you the oscillatory motion. If you observe carefully, the stone goes to left side and comes back to right, again goes to left and comes to right side. So, such type of motion is called oscillatory motion. So, the definition of oscillatory motion is an object is said to have oscillatory motion if the particles present in that object moves to and fro or up and down direction about a fixed point. For example, if you take the pendulum present in a clock, this pendulum is fixed to a point. This is a fixed point. So, the pendulum moves to the left side and the pendulum moves to the right side continuously about a fixed point. This is a fixed point. So, the pendulum moves about a fixed point in to and fro direction. Such type of motion is oscillatory motion. Yes. So, children, I hope you have understood what oscillatory motion is and different types of motion. The different types of motion are translatory, rotatory, oscillatory. Again, translatory motion is of two types, rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. If anybody asks you whether rectilinear motion is translatory or not, you must say yes, because rectilinear motion is always translatory motion. Similarly, curvilinear motion is always translatory motion, and you know very well the definition of translatory motion. In the same way, you know the definition of rotatory motion and you know the definition of oscillatory motion. So, that the criteria for classifying these types of motion is the movement or the direction or the path in which the moving object moves. Depending on the direction of the path of the moving object, the motion is of different types, and you can give many examples of objects having translatory motion, rotatory motion, oscillatory motion. Yes, children, there are some questions given in your textbook at page number 33. So, I hope you can answer these questions. Seconds hand of a watch, what motion does it have? Seconds hand on a clock or watch, it shows rotatory motion, yes. And next, movement of a train on track, movement of train on a railway track, what type of motion does it have? Yes, it shows rectilinear motion. It may also show curvilinear motion. So, I say a train moving on a railway track shows translatory motion. If the train moves in a straight path, that translatory motion is called rectilinear motion. Or if the train moves in a curved path, such type of translatory motion is a curvilinear motion. So, the answer to this question is movement of a train on track is translatory. If you say rectilinear, it is also correct. If you say curvilinear, it is also a correct, but the direction should be mentioned. If I say a train moving on a curved track has curvilinear motion, that is right. Or if I say a train moving on a track along a straight line, such type of motion is called rectilinear motion. So, the answer for this question, movement of train on track. If you do not know the direction of the train, whether it is moving in a straight line or curved path, you can simply say translatory motion. And third, movement of a tape in a tape recorder. If you observe the tape recorder while it is playing, the tape winds around two wheels, the tape winds around two wheels. So, if you closely observe that tape, you can see what type of motion it shows. It shows a rectilinear motion when it travels in a straight line, and when the tape winds around the wheels, it shows rotatory motion or curvilinear motion. Next, movement of a needle in a speedometer of car. The needle in a speedometer of car moves according to the speed. Okay, again if the speed of the car decreases, it comes back to the previous place, that is it may even if the car stops, it comes to 0 position, and when the car starts and pick up the speed, it gradually moves to the right side. Again if the car stops, it comes back to 0 position. So, this needle moves in to and fro directions. Such type of motion is called oscillatory motion, because it moves along a curved path, no doubts. It moves, the needle moves along a curved path, but it comes back to its original position. So, it moves in to and fro directions. So, you can say that the needle in a speedometer shows oscillatory motion, and you may also say it shows curvilinear motion if you take the curved path into consideration. Movement of a bus on hill station road, movement of a bus on a hill station road. The road on hill station is not straight, it is curved, means the bus moves in a curved manner. So, an object moving in a curved path has curvilinear motion. Curvilinear motion is a type of translatory motion, you know it very well. Motion of coins on a carom board. If you flick a carom coin, almost it moves in straight lines. So, an object moving in straight line, he has rectilinear motion, that is a type of translatory motion. And seventh one, motion of the ball in a pin board. Okay, if you pull the spring and release the spring, the ball or the marble present in the pin board, it moves in random directions. So, it may have translatory motion, because almost it travels in straight paths. Next, motion of a mango falling from a mango tree. So, can you assume or can you guess what type of motion does a mango have? Generally, a mango falling from a tree, it travels in straight line. If an object travels in a straight line, such type of motion is called rectilinear motion. So, rectilinear motion is also a translatory motion. If you say translatory motion, that would be right. If you say rectilinear motion, that would also be right, because rectilinear motion is a type of translatory motion. Yes. So, children, I hope you understood the concepts of different types of motion. Again, at page number 35, there is a table given. You are asked to observe the motion of bodies and label them as rotatory, translatory and rotatory, because sometimes I will explain you. So, in the first one, motion of blades of a ceiling fan, I have given you here. The motion of blades of a ceiling fan show rotatory motion. So, if you write R, that would be enough. Motion of an arrow from a bow. Okay. When you pull the string of a bow and release the string, the arrow travels in a straight line almost. So, such type of motion is called translatory motion. Next, motion of the earth around the sun. Motion of earth around the sun. So, it moves in a circular path. Such type of motion is called rotatory motion. And motion of a drill bit. So, what is a drill bit? Drill bit is an instrument by which we make holes in walls, in wood, etc. So, if you closely observe the movement of a drill bit, it shows two types of motion. One is the bit rotates and at the same time it moves in the forward direction. So, it has both rotatory motion and translatory motion. So, an object can have both rotatory and translatory motions at the same time. And motion of wheels of an object. Here bicycle is given, a girl is riding a bicycle. If you take into consideration the wheels, what type of motion do the wheels of a bicycle have? The wheels rotate, at the same time they move along the path. So, they have rotatory motion and translatory motion. So, an object can have more than one type of motion, and you can understand this concept by simply doing an activity. Take a football and kick the football. The football travels along a straight line, and at the same time it rotates or it spins. So, at the same time the football is showing translatory motion and rotatory motion. Because of its spin, it has rotatory motion. Like this, there are different types of motions in moving objects. So, here at page number 36, you are asked to identify oscillatory motion among the given examples. First one is a spinning top. A spinning top. A top spins or rotates, but it does not show oscillatory motion. A spinning top does not show oscillatory motion. Bullet fired from a gun. Bullet fired from a gun. Actually, the bullet travels in a straight path. So, it does not show any oscillatory motion. Typewriter key. Children, have you seen a typewriter? A typewriter is a machine used to type matter. So, if you press the key on a typewriter and release your finger, again the key comes back to its original position. So, the key moves down and up, down and up. So, such type of motion is called oscillatory motion. The third one is an example for oscillatory motion, and fourth one, motion of a potter's wheel. Have you seen a potter's wheel? A potter makes pots and other clay things on a potter's wheel. It is a wheel. He keeps rotating this wheel to make clay objects. So, it moves, it shows rotatory, not oscillatory. And motion of a vibrating sitar string. A string is a wire attached to sitar. If you pluck the wire of a sitar, it vibrates. It vibrates. Vibration is nothing but to and fro motion. It is to and fro motion. It is an example for oscillator, you can say that. And next, motion of a car taking a turn while moving. Motion of a car taking a turn while moving. What motion does it have? Yes, it has curvilinear motion, but not oscillatory motion. Ringing of a bell. Ringing of a bell. To make the sound, an object has to vibrate. What is vibration? Vibration is nothing but to and fro motion of particles. It has a ringing bell shows oscillatory motion. A bouncing ball. If you take a rubber ball and release the ball onto the floor, the ball keeps moving up and down. Such type of motion is oscillatory motion. By understanding these examples, you can clearly know the different types of motions we see in our day-to-day lives. Thank you children for listening this online class. Hope you understood well. Welcome to YouTube channel DEO Nalgonda. Hello children, today we are going to discuss about some of the topics in the unit motion and time. In the previous videos you have learnt about motion and different types of motions. Then can anybody tell me what the motion is? How can you define motion? Yes, motion is a change in position of an object with respect to time. A change in position of an object with respect to time is called motion. Motion is of different types. They are translatory motion, rotatory motion, oscillatory motion. The translatory motion, depending on the path of the object travelling, is again subdivided into two types. They are rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. Now, so we see many things or many objects moving around us in the surroundings. They move with different motions. Some move slower and some move faster. Then how can we estimate which object is moving faster and which object is moving slower? For that we need two quantities. The first quantity is the distance covered or the distance travelled by an object, and the second quantity is the time taken. By knowing these two quantities, we can easily estimate or we can say which object is faster and which object is slower. For example, here you see 5 students like you are participating in a running race. For our convenience, I am giving them the names A, B, C, D, E. Student A, student B, student C, student D, student E, and these are participating in a running race, and this is the finish line. They have to reach here and touch the finishing rope. So after the starting of the race, all the students will run and they reach the finish line. Now how can you estimate which student has won the race? Simple, by calculating the time. The distance is same, all the students will have to cover the same distance, but the student who takes less time to reach the finish line will be declared the winner. So to compare the speed or to compare which object is moving faster or which object is moving slower, we need two quantities. One is the distance covered and next one is the time taken. Then generally how do you measure the time? So yes, you are right, we measure the time by using seconds or minutes or hours or else days or weeks or months or years or centuries or millennia. So we use different types of units according to our requirement or according to the context mentioned. So time has different units. The common unit is the second. The common unit of time is the second, or else you can also use hour as the unit of time. So, depending on the context we are referring to, we use different units of time. And coming to distance, distance is also measured by different units. They vary from millimeters to kilometers. The different units of distance are millimeters, centimeters, meters, kilometers, miles, etc. So, if you know these two quantities, you can easily estimate or you can easily compare which object is moving faster than the other object. Yes. So, in most of the vehicles, not most, in all of the vehicles, you can see speedometer and odometer. Okay, in all the vehicles you can see these two instruments, one is the speedometer and the other one is the odometer. So, speedometer is an instrument used to show the speed with which the vehicle is traveling. So, the name itself indicates speedometer, it tells us the speed with which the vehicle is traveling. Next, odometer. So, odometer is an instrument, it is integrated in the speedometer. You can see a horizontal display in the speedometer showing different numbers. So, the odometer shows us the distance travelled. Odometer gives us the distance travelled by the vehicle. You can easily identify this odometer in a speedometer. Okay. So, speedometer tells us the speed with which the vehicle is moving and odometer tells us the distance the vehicle has covered or the distance the vehicle has travelled. So, a vehicle may not move with a uniform speed, means it cannot travel with equal speed. So, the reason for this is there may be a traffic or the road may not be in good condition and some other reasons. So, the vehicle travels with different speeds at different intervals of time. Then the question is, how do we identify or how do we calculate the speed of the vehicle? For that we need average speed. We need average speed. Average speed is nothing but total distance travelled by the vehicle by the total time taken by it. Okay. So, average speed is the distance travelled, total distance, not distance, total distance travelled by a vehicle by total time taken. Then why am I using the word total? Because average speed gives us the total distance travelled by the vehicle and it is the ratio of total distance travelled to the total time taken and it gives the average speed. Then what is speed? Speed is it is nothing but distance travelled by time. Speed is the distance travelled by time. Average speed is the total distance travelled by the time and speed is the, we just mentioned, the distance travelled to the time taken. Speed is the distance travelled by time taken. Then what are the units of time? Every quantity requires a unit to determine it. Okay. So, previously I told you that time has different units. We use different units of time according to our need and according to our context, and speed also has units. Okay, what are the units of speed? Generally, speed is mentioned kilometers per hour or meters per second. Units of speed, we use generally two units for speed. They are meters per second. This is in SI system. SI stands for Standard International. So, this is the international system of measurements. In SI system, the unit of speed is meters per second, but if you observe a speedometer, you can see the letters kmph. kmph stands for kilometers per hour. kmph stands for kilometers per hour. This is a common method. So, most of the speed is mentioned using the unit kilometers per hour. All the speedometers are, they show the speed in kilometers per hour. So, SI system, unit of SI system for speed is meters per second. So, there is a relationship between these two units. So, kilometer per hour is equal to 1 kilometer per 1 hour. You know, 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meters, and 1 hour makes how many seconds? So, 1 hour contains 60 minutes and each minute contains 60 seconds. So, it comes to 1000 by 3600 meters per seconds. If you simplify, you will get 2 5 2 18. So, 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 5 by 18 meters per second. So, that is clearly given in your textbook at page number 41. 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 5 by 18 meters per second. Conversely, we can also say 1 meter per second is equal to 18 by 5 meters per kilometers per hour. These are the two units we use to calculate the speed of a vehicle. They are 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 5 by 18 meters per second, or 1 meter per second. Second one is 1 meter per second is equal to 18 by 5 meters per kilometers per hour. Yes, hour. So, if you understand the relationship between these two units, you can convert kilometers per hour into meters per second or meters per second into kilometers per hour. You have to understand this relation. 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 5 by 18 meters per second, or 1 meter per second is equal to 18 by 5 kilometers per hour. So, by understanding or by knowing these two relationships, you can convert the speed from kilometers per hour into meters per second, or you can also convert the speed in meters per second into kilometers per hour. That is the relationship between these two units. Okay children, there are some problems given in this textbook. You please better approach your subject teacher and try to calculate those problems. They are very easy to calculate. And before concluding this topic, this unit, I would like to remind you some keywords that you come across in this unit. Okay, they are motion. You know very well what motion is. Motion is a change in position of an object with respect to time. Okay. Next, rest. An object is said to be in rest if it does not change its position with respect to time. It is well known to you. And translatory motion, it has two types of motion. They are rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. Tarvata you have a rotatory motion, axis of rotation. Axis of rotation, what is axis of rotation? Axis of rotation is the point around which the rotating object rotates. That is called axis of rotation. You know very well what oscillatory motion is, and you also know what speed is and what average speed is. These are the keywords you come across in this unit. Okay children, hope you understood all these concepts very well. In case if you have any doubts, please do approach your subject teachers and get your doubts clarified. Thank you for listening this class. Goodbye.